That moment when you just sat down, you got your bossa nova music playing in the background, you know what your task is that you're gonna work on for the next 90 minutes, and you are ready to go. Yet you look up 3 hours later and you're nowhere near done with that task that you were supposed to be doing. And now you're a bit frustrated because you got distracted with something else and that's been pushed off and it's not done. Welcome to Vasti TV, where we own our story, ignite our business, and live our legacy now. This is a space for the solo coach, consultant, or service provider who is juggling all the things business and life and are ready to shift into actually creating harmony to align their life with their business, experience what they really want while leading a thriving, profitable business. If that sounds like you, then definitely hit that subscribe button below because this is for you. Too often, we don't go back and actually dig into why did it really not get done? We'll settle for the fact that, oh, we got distracted with this or this came up and therefore it just threw me off track and I got to go back to it. But let's think about this. If it was really your priority to get that one task done in those 90 minutes, would you really have easily let something throw you off track or pull you into distraction to do something else? No, you wouldn't if it was really that top priority for the moment. But because we don't ever go back and dig beyond what seems to be obvious, we don't ever get to the real root of what it is that's causing us to really procrastinate and not get those tasks done. Whether it was fear of the unknown, because maybe you got to a point in the project where it required you to step into a different level than what you had before. Or maybe you felt like, I do this every day, every week, and I'm not getting any results. Or maybe it was just one of the mundane tasks of being a business owner, that it was easy to just go off and do something else. And how do you actually shift from that place so that you don't end up procrastinating and not getting the things done that you know need to be done and the things you really want to be done? We're going to dive into exactly how do you make that kind of shift so that you can really stop procrastinating and get the things done that really matter in the time that you want to get them done, so that you can move on to the next task. Now, yes, I get a lot done, but that's not always the case. Procrastination is real over here too, okay? So I've had to really learn what is it that sets apart the moments where I can really stick and stay to get the work done versus when I procrastinate. And of course, it starts with that really just understanding what is at the root of it, like what is causing me to procrastinate in that moment. But it also goes beyond that. And this is where it starts to get active to push me towards moving beyond the procrastination and not letting that be a roadblock for me. And the first part of that comes down to the heart and mind having a meeting. I realize that when your heart is involved in the milestones that you're chasing, then your emotions are engaged. And then there begins to be chemical reactions that signal joy and for you to keep going. And so as you are sitting there looking at this task in front of you, you got to ask yourself, am I looking at the heart of the matter of what I want to achieve? Like, is my heart really involved in this, even in the mundane? And listen, be careful with that because you can easily look at it and say, no, I do not care about sending these emails. But what are those emails going to get you to that your heart cares about? See, that's where your focus needs to be. And when your heart shows up in what you're doing, when your heart is engaged, that means that those emotions will then begin to create shifts in you that will make your mind align. Yes, when your heart gets engaged, like what we really want from inside of our heart, and we can take that and put whatever we're doing and see the heart behind it, then it shifts us to put our mind on it and to get it done. Think about how you are with your friends or your family that you really just love. Man, you do almost anything you can to help them because your heart is involved. You have to involve your heart in building this legacy. You have to involve your heart in growing this business. If you're really going to move beyond starting and stopping and starting and stopping, when your heart and your mind can meet, procrastination has to go, and you will step into getting things done when you say you will get them done. As you begin to engage your heart in that way and bring your mind into alignment because your heart is so engaged, it's going to be vital that you start living in self-awareness. And particularly in the awareness of your inner thoughts. Because as you begin to shift from being in a place of constantly procrastinating to actually getting things done, you're going to really start to have those thoughts come up. The more intentional you try to be about really not procrastinating, it can seem like the more difficult it becomes. Well, that's because you're pushing against those inner thoughts that have been subconsciously predicting everything that's going to happen and kind of running the show. So you have to master the game of self-awareness to understand what is happening in your mind in those moments where you end up being distracted or pulled away or fear stops you, and really dealing with those thoughts. The more aware you are of them, the more you can actually deal with them and shift those thoughts, change them, get rid of them. The more you can tell those thoughts, no, ain't nobody got time for this. We're not doing this today, okay? We have things to get done. So make sure that as your heart is becoming engaged and is leading your mind to align to get done what you have before you, that you are walking into that self-awareness to keep that as a continual process, just an element of who you are. The more a self-aware you become, the more powerful you become to shift from procrastination to progress. And that is ultimately where we're going. As you're beginning to make that shift, then that links us right into, now we get to, hey, what does this practically look like beyond these intangibles? And this is where we go into point 3, which is about simplifying. You need to simplify your to-do list. This is a big part of what creates that procrastination as well, because it feels like it's so much to get done that even if you get this one thing done, it's not going to make that big of a difference. You need to simplify because you really don't have the capacity and energy in your brain to be juggling 17 different tasks all at the same time. And let's be honest, most of those tasks are not really driving you closer to your goal. They are niceties that could be done, but they're not getting you to where you really want to be. So you need to simplify your to-do list. And the more that you engage your heart, the more that you are going to find that place where I'm really getting clued in on what really matters. Because if your heart's not in it, then you're not in it, and it's not going to get done. Now, are there some things that you can sit down and just grind through and push through? Yes, but that is not sustainable. If we're talking about really eliminating procrastination, then we want to make sure that we are really focusing in on what really matters. And that happens when we simplify down to what really matters. Just top 3 projects. And then the top 3 tasks. You don't need to do it all. What's really going to matter to get you so much closer to your goal than you were on yesterday? Simplify down to just those top 3 things. With your focus now on what your heart is really into and really simplifying it down to what really matters, now it's time to enlist some accountability. So we are big on accountability around here. I always have some kind of accountability partner in some area of my life. It is the norm. But it can be what really keeps you in sync while you're trying to establish this new habit of being progressive and not procrastinating. So you want to get yourself partnered with someone who, for one, is in the same arena as you. They know where you are. They may even have been where you are. So they may be a couple of steps ahead of you. But you want someone who is like-minded, who's in this journey to really fulfill their purpose, build their legacy, make an impact through business, and do what it is they're created to do. And let's be careful about who we pick here. Because accountability is not about having someone who will say yes and amen to every good idea you have, but someone who will hold your feet to the fire. Someone who will hold you to your word about what you said you were going to do, and then help you figure out what needs to shift and change if for some reason it's not happening. But if you connect your heart and mind, simplify these things, and walk in that self-awareness, you'll become progressive. You'll start to progress and get it done. But accountability is that surefire way to really tie it up nicely with a bow to make sure that it's secure and you get to getting the results that you really want to see. There's so much to be done, and this is only your beginning. So let's make sure that you are choosing progress over procrastination. Throughout all of this, remember, you need to make sure that you're keeping your eyes on the end goal. Because when it's mundane, when fear and doubt tries to creep up, when you're just completely bored doing what you're doing, but it has to be done, you need to be very sure and anchored in the ultimate goal that it is going to get you to. When your heart is connected to that, you will stay the course and you will keep seeing progress show up each and every day that you sit down and work on your legacy. Guys, you're amazing. I'm going to be hanging out in the comments to get some of your amazingness for the next hour. So bring your questions, bring your comments, and let's kick procrastination out the door. I'll see you in the comments.